Hey family, today we're going to talk about shifting in and out of states of consciousness. So shifting into different states of consciousness, and we're going to start by talking about what states of consciousness are. We're going to talk about why spiritual people aren't perfect and don't have to be perfect. We might talk a little bit about ascension and stuff like that. So a state of consciousness could be described as your vibration, the level that you're vibrating on, what you are feeling, mind, body, and spirit, what you are connected to, maybe even what you're channeling. And I'm using the words to the best of my ability here. It can be hard to use words for a lot of this. It's more so something that you may feel, and I'm going to try to explain with words. It might not be perfect, and that's okay. And that's why we're also going to talk about why spiritual people aren't perfect all the time, whatever that means. Okay, so states of consciousness. Maybe you're in the heart state and you're feeling lovey, connected. You feel you belong. You feel connected to Mother Earth. You feel connected to other people, and you're just on that vibration of love, and it feels so good. When I hold guided meditations, when I do sound baths, when I do, when I'm just in my heart and being of service, or I've done my mantras, I'm in that loving, blissful state. I'm in that heart state or in the bliss state. And then that can shift as well. Some other states of consciousness. So if we could talk about the chakras as states of consciousness if we'd like. So there's a lot more than the 7 chakras that are mainly spoken about. But if we're talking about the root chakra, we could feel that we are grounded, rooted, connected to the earth. We're safe. And if we're in the sacral chakra, maybe we're feeling real sensual. We're with our partner, we're with our lover, our mate, and we are just in the mood, and we're feeling beautiful and sensual and sexy and in that sacral chakra and got that kundalini energy flowing. And maybe we're in the throat chakra. We're speaking our voice, we're sharing what matters to us. Or maybe we're in I don't know why, we just kind of like skipped the solar plexus here. We're in the solar plexus and we're just radiating our light. We're shining so bright. We're connected to Grandfather's Sun. We are doing our action. We're acting in the world, fulfilling our purpose. So the throat chakra next. We spoke a little bit a second ago. We're speaking our truth. We're sharing. We're bringing our voice to the world. We're bringing our message to the world. We are sharing our creations with the world. So when we're creating, that's mainly in the sacral chakra. And then the action to create, like the acting on it, that's going to be the solar plexus. And then when we share our creations with the world, that's mainly coming from the throat. And we often feel connection in the heart when we do that because we feel that connectedness. And maybe we're in our third eye or our crown chakra and we've just meditated and we're at peace. We're not really fluctuating much. We're in a state of knowing, in a state of realization, recollection. And there could be inverses to these. So I'll only go over a couple inverses. Maybe we're in our root state, so we are protecting ourselves. We're standing our ground. We're saying, hey, like this stops here. This is not okay. Maybe we're in our throat chakra and we are speaking. So that root was like, all right, we need to protect ourselves. And we're speaking. We're like saying our no. We're speaking our truth in a way that we need to protect ourselves, or feel in that moment that we need to protect ourselves. And maybe we are, oh, did I say the heart? I think I said the heart for the other one, for the feeling that loving, connected to the earth, connected to others. I said that one. Okay. And when we could also be in what's a negative aspect of these chakras. So if we're not feeling strong in our root chakra, we're feeling threatened, or maybe something happened as a child and you know that this will be like root and throat. You felt unsafe. Maybe your parents didn't protect you, so you feel that you have to go to all ends to protect yourself. You have to do whatever's necessary to protect yourself. You feel like you lash out at people. You say hurtful things. You say mean things because you know that if you say those mean things, they won't get close to you, and if they don't get close to you, they won't hurt you. And that could be a negative aspect because you haven't worked through a negative aspect because you haven't worked through those traumas and you haven't opened up and connected to those chakras. So I think that was a really good example there. And then shifting. So when we shift in and out of the states of consciousness, it's like I stated each of those. So there is like a trigger that could shift you. And so you're feeling like super lovey. I'm taking this one from Spirit Science. They talked about on one of their spiritual videos. This one I'm taking from them. So you're out in nature and you're just loving the earth. You feel so good and connected. Maybe you've got some friends. You're sitting around the fire. You're drumming together. And mainly the heart chakra and the throat chakra are acting because you're feeling loving, connected. You are with some good people. And you're speaking with them, you're sharing your truth, you feel comfortable and safe. And then a big old grizzly bear comes up. A big old bear comes up and you just like get scared. It's like, uh-oh, boom, go down to the root chakra and you're gonna protect yourself. So you could handle that in different ways from different states of consciousness. You could just put your arms up and be like, bear, like, you know, make some noise and slowly walk away. That's usually what's recommended. Or maybe you go into a fearful, angry state, and even if the bear isn't threatening you or isn't going to hurt you, he's just walking around because, you know, the bear lives in the woods and wandered up to your campsite. You shoot the bear and kill the bear because you're angry and that triggered you. So there's an area, and it's not... So of course we want to not harm animals. I completely agree with that. And I also want to say it's not our fault, or it's not someone's fault if they get angry and do something out of anger, or they do something, usually something done out of anger is because of fear. So we get scared, and anger is like, okay, I need to take action. So that may happen, or we could be super loving. This is from Spirit Science. I don't recommend this one because I don't think most humans are right here yet. So you're super loving, and we're like, hey bear, it is okay, we're just radiating our love and our light, and we're like, it's all good, bear, and we're on the state with the bear. And yeah, and it's like just chilling with the bear. There is a little story in Vedic tradition, so that's like Indian philosophy, that this guy says, we're told not to fear. If we trust in Shiva, we trust in God, one, the universe, that we don't have to fear anything. And there's an elephant charging at him. This elephant is in musk, which is like that elephant is in its sexual time where it's angry and acting and crazy. And the elephant's charging, and he says, I'm just going to radiate my light and my state, and I am not afraid. And then the elephant runs him over. So that's not funny, but so you know, it's just, you know, taking things with a grain of salt. But I do think it is possible to get to a certain state of consciousness where it can happen differently, but I don't recommend it, and I'm not going to try it. So another thing that happens is, yeah, like we said, traumas triggering something. I gave a really good example earlier with like the trying to protect yourself from being hurt by lashing out on others. And that's not your fault, you know, like something happened to you. And most people, their parents did something that caused them issues in their childhood. Pretty much everybody, because humans are not perfect. We act out of fear. Their parents did something to them, or society, or something traumatic happened to them. Something traumatic happened. So that's that shifting. And of course, like, I do want to put in here that, like, there's Yeshua, who the way that I see Yeshua is someone that realized he is one with God, like said, hey, like, if God created us out of God's self, like, there was nothing, then there was God, so God created us. Well, what did God create us out of God's self? So he's like, I am the son of God, I am God, I'm made out of God. It's kind of how I see it, and got to certain vibrational states, and like, that's amazing. That takes a lot of work, and that's not something that happens to everyone. There are plenty of Indian yogis like Ramakrishna, and different, oh, there's a lady, shoot, what's her name? The Divine Mother, who was, I believe, Ramakrishna's wife. She's amazing to listen to and read about. I recommend studying up on her and her compassion and her loving states. And yeah, so basically, like, we would love to reach certain states in what we could call like ascension, where we're not swayed by these like earthly things, and we're not in any reacting to any types of trauma, done shadow work, gone to hell, and come back up to the light, resurrected. That's great. And it's also okay if you're not there. It's okay if you're not Yeshua. Yeshua is what I say, called Jesus. So it's okay if you're not Jesus. You don't need to be perfect. Like, if you're spiritual, please, like, don't beat up yourself. So, like, when I'm doing my meditations, my ceremonies, when I'm holding space for this, I get myself into a certain state. And what I've been saying lately, there's a bug on me. What I've been saying lately is, Mama Gaia, make me a hollow bone for your love, healing, and grace. And I like to say that before guiding others in meditation, before holding ceremony. And that helps me get into state. I do my mantras. I have like Om Bor Purvasvaha Tatsa Vitor Varanya Bhargo Deva Shadi Mahi Choyana Prachoydaya. I usually sing it, so I start singing at the end. So that is Savitor, is radiating your light. So mantras can be a tool to get us into different states of consciousness. That's a big thing that's been practiced in Buddhism and yoga for a long time. That one I just said is for radiating the light from within, the God from within, and shining yourself bright. And we can say that over and over again to get into that. There is Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. And that is compassion. Some say Karuna, compassion. That's connecting to Kuan Yin and her aspects, and inviting that, invoking that, so that saying that mantra over and over again can get you into a certain state of consciousness. And then there's Om Tare Tutare Tore Soha. Om Tare Tutare Tore Soha. And that is connecting to Green Tara, who is said to be the mother of all Buddhas. And she's connected to that earth energy, to ascension, she's connected to rising past the pains and traumas of the earth, rising out of that reaction state into where you're just vibrating in love, and you've learned whatever you came here to learn. So that brings us into ascension, a little bit of chat on ascension. So we could look at that as, like, if we're going to say maybe Earth is a school, right? We're looking at Earth as a school, and our soul decides, hey, I want to come to Earth School, we'll call it Earth School, and I want to learn this. Like, I want to experience this, and maybe we've chosen to undergo certain traumas, certain pains, certain experiences, certain societal issues, or certain aspects of war, because we want to learn, we want to figure out how to get past that and work through it, or just feel whatever it is for whatever reason. Maybe that's something that humans decide. And we could, in that context, we could ascend by learning that lesson and overcoming it, or ascend to a certain point, even into higher chakras. So there's a lot more chakras than these 7, like I said. One of my favorites to connect to is the Earth Star Chakra, which is supposed to be like 2 feet below your feet. I see it as a bright gold shining light. Different people see it differently, and that's totally cool. And that's like the consciousness grid of the earth, connected to all, connected to everything. That, like, I feel that it's like even more grounding than the root chakra. Like, the root chakra is like grounded in the body, and the Earth Star Chakra is like grounded in the earth and existence. Okay, or we have our Soul Star Chakra, which is supposed to be a few feet above the head, which is seen usually as a glowing turquoise. Sometimes I'll kind of see it silvery, or like silver turquoise. And that's our soul star, so our purpose, what we're here for. It can connect us, and it leads us into the higher chakras, because that's like said to be the next one above the head. And then there is said to be about 2 feet in front of you, the Gaia Chakra, which I really like to connect to. The Gaia Chakra is that earth consciousness, accepting the unending love, accepting the overflowing, abundant, pure love of our Mother Earth. And that love is always there, and we can always accept and connect and receive it. We just have to open ourselves up to do so. So there's that one. And then there's Solar Star, not to be confused with the Soul Star, which is like a higher sun chakra way up there. There's a bunch of these. You can look into more work. Dorian, no, that's not who wrote it. Can't think of it, but if you go to Spirit Science and you type in like the higher chakras, they have a video that talks about higher chakras. I like to listen to it as a meditation and then visualize each of those chakras. The first time I listened to it, it made absolutely no sense. It was like kerplooky to me. And each time I listen to it, I can feel and connect to those chakras more and more. It's like gaining a familiarity. Like if you picture the heart chakra, for example, if we picture this green glowing light right here and we say like we want to connect to our heart chakra, and we have that intention to open, connect, shine our heart chakra, then we start to connect to that more. And it's that repetition that gets us there. And same thing with states of consciousness. The more we practice being in what I call state, so being in that heart center or in another high vibrational, like loving or light chakra, the more we practice that, the more we can stay there. But it's still okay to be human, to make mistakes. Like, I make mistakes. I do. I've said unkind things to my partner when I've been upset. Romantic relationships are something that can challenge all of us the most. Let me say that again. Romantic relationships are something that can challenge all of us the most. And that's not something to run away from because of fear. That's just something that's to understand, like, you know, and we can work through that and that type of thing. So if somebody hurts you that's really close to you, sometimes you react and get out of state, or something happens that you were really looking forward to something, and then it goes away or something, and you get out of state. And we can work our hardest to keep growing and to stay in state and to be able to not react at that point. Like, of course, that's the goal. But if you do have those feelings, if you do have an emotional reaction, like, we don't need to beat ourselves up over it. And pushing those emotions and feelings down does not help anybody. It just eventually causes a later explosion. It's not helpful. So we have to understand, as we're growing and wherever we're at, it's okay to be human. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to react. It's okay to come out of state. And then we can come back. Like, I've had times where I've been out of state, like out of my flow state, my heart state, for a couple months, like going through some challenging stuff. And then I find my way back. Maybe I start doing my mantras daily again, which really, really helps me. Like the mantras I listed earlier, and then I have prayers from Sacred Woman that I say every day before, when I wake up and before bed, rising and before bed. So there are tools to keep working on it. So I hope you liked this video. I tried my best because, you know, words. And I want to show you this beautiful place I'm at for a moment. It'd be really cool if a bear just walked by right now into the camera after our bear story. I love you, family.